Yes, you are now listening to the sounds of Sports Reports Exhorted. 2-5, Mr. Logical. And you know what, y'all? The real Julius Randle has stood up. Game one was a fluke rap. I don't want to hear it. So, tonight, we got all the NBA playoff talk for you. We got a little bit of baseball. We're a couple of weeks in. What's standing out? What's going on in the major leagues? Then we got one question. Did Jalen just hurt Lamar Jackson? I mean, he took less guarantees than Kyler Murray. Wow. And then, of course, we got one more talk about NIL because some of these coaches are out of pocket. And I got something to say about it. Raf gonna give y'all some numbers. Get it off my chest. Yes. What's happening, Raf?
Yo, we back at it. Another episode this week. Hope y'all got y'all taxes in. Today was the last day for it. You know what I mean? Make sure Joe Biden get his cut. Shout out to POTUS.
I'm coming to audit you, Julius Randle. I'm coming to audit you.
You know what I mean? So, yeah. We out here. We're just doing our thing. Luckily, the sports world just keeps giving us gems every single week, man. We think it's going to be a scramble. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you got Jalen. You got people hurting their hands, people hurting their backs. It's like, we should have known, personally, I should have known that sports is going to be a little bit more unpredictable than this. I was kind of like blah, like it's going to be 1 through 4 and so forth and so on. But yo.
Yeah. What y'all going to do? What y'all going to do now that he can't pull the trigger?
Nah, he just going to hit him with the other hand. He hurt his left hand, right? Or hit his right hand?
I thought he hurt his shooting hand. He hurt his shooting hand.
He's just going to get his boys to jump another 17-year-old.
And before we get started,
allegedly.
And before we get started, I'm not trying to get rid of the charge. I'm gonna throw that out there too. I'm not trying to get rid of the charge.
I've been trying to get rid of that thing for years.
You know what I'm saying?
So
I ain't trying to have no. As Glenn Rivers
get 8 fouls and go for the block.
Hey, as Glenn Rivers said, known as the Doc, even though he turns into the nurse during the playoffs. This man said he ain't trying to have no 250 to 250 basketball games. He just don't want to blow a lead. That's all that is.
I'm telling you, man, like it's not a good look. I don't like it at all.
But yo, NBA playoffs.
Get into it. NBA playoff reaction. What you got?
Yeah. I got Julius Randle is back to being the pumpkin that I knew he was. Because for one, he shot 7 for 20 in game one, including 3 for 10 from 3. The Knicks was a fluke. The media was waiting for the Knicks to win a game so they could proclaim them the champions. And tonight, right now, down 19 points, the Knicks are who I thought they were.
It's game 2, man.
I know.
I mean, like, first of all, they play in the greatest city in the world. We can argue this fact all we want, but
they do not play in LA.
There's more New York City postcards and rotation.
They do not play in Toronto.
They play in the greatest city in the world.
They do not play in London.
Garden. Matter of fact,
They do not play in Paris.
I might even get tickets to game 3. I mean, you can pay for them with a firm. Yeah, I mean, so you could like stretch it out over a year. Tickets probably like $400. But yo, I mean, I think we all have I think every reaction that I've heard so far, even through conversation, through text messages, people, pundits that I've seen, I think they've all, for the most part, been kind of on par with like what's going on. You've seen the Boston Atlanta series, you're like, okay, Boston is the better team than Atlanta. That's just how it works. So that's just how the math works. The 2 is normally substantially better than the 7.
But I would have rather seen Zach LaVine or something.
Well, they should have won. I mean, you play better defense, you get it.
I know.
So then you got 8 versus 1. You got the Heat. last in the league in scoring or something like that, or 27th in the league in scoring. Um, Giannis hurts his back, but they said just the pain tolerance level. We all know these doctors can work wonders. Massage chairs, yoga, Pilates, whatever he has to do. I think he'll be good to go for game 2. So I don't think that series is
Hey,
over.
I got a question,
What's
real
up?
quick. I got a question. So let me take a trip down memory lane. I remember one Kevin Durant getting criticism because he wouldn't tell Russell Westbrook to give him the ball. Are we just watching instant replay? Tell Devin Booker to give up the rock.
Yo, listen, everybody talks about how well KD fits into every team. And the reason he fits in well is because he's a puzzle piece and he fits in. He doesn't come there and make you change everything. LeBron got traded to Phoenix 6 to 7, 8 weeks ago. Yeah, Chris Paul is an off guard at that point. And Devin Booker is going to be shooting corner threes or 15-foot pull ups because LeBron's going to make you change. If you get a guy like Ja Morant, he needs to have the ball because he's a playmaker.
Right.
Just certain players just make you adjust. Kevin Durant's like, listen, if I can get 12 to 16 shots, I'm gonna knock down. Oh, excuse me. Oh, allergy
Yeah, he
season.
only he only took five in the second half and went a whole 5 minute stretch without scoring in the fourth quarter.
I think we can. I think we can all like Monday morning head coach all of these decisions. But to me, it's like, how do you not just always every offensive time you have, every time you get the ball in your half, at least call the play where you screen his man and either force a switch or force his man to fight through a screen so he can get the ball. Like I don't know why that's not. It's not like you have to be creative in a basketball court. It's like you
Hmm.
know KD is a prominent scorer. You know he's one of the best scorers in the NBA. If he didn't miss so many games, me and you did the math, he would be on pace to be possibly third or second or third all time scoring because
Uh-huh.
of the amount of games he missed and how effortlessly he scores the basketball. So
Right.
if he doesn't miss, a couple
Look at
hundred
that.
games in the
Julius
last
Randle
three or
missing
4 years,
another three.
listen, man, people miss threes. I mean, the top 3 point shooter shot like 40 some percent. So that means 6 out of 10 times they miss them. It happens. So when you get to KD, it's like, how do you not, even if he doesn't shoot the ball, how do you not come up and call a play, whatever it is, ace motion KD, and he just gets the ball and then he says, all right, you know what? I got somebody that's trying to help on a double team. I'm gonna get it back to Devin. I'm gonna get it back to Chris. I think every possession, the ball should at least the action should be in his vicinity or the ball should touch his hands. Because I think
Yeah.
that's just winning. That's just a winning solution. You're not gonna lose if KD shoots too many shots.
Yeah, I need Pursuit of Happiness to step it up too, because if they're going to be doubling KD, then you know what I mean. He had 18 and 8, so I'm not trying to make it sound like he was a no-show, but I just feel like he has to be a little more aggressive when he does get some paint touches or he does get it at the elbow. He just got to make quicker decisions and do something. But what I am wondering though, because we got that game coming up next on TNT, Clippers and Suns game 2. I'm wondering. I think the answer is no, but I don't know for sure. Did the Clippers shoot their load in game 1?
Nah, because I think what you have with the Clippers, and we talked about this bulletin board material in our last podcast. Check that out. I think Russ is, I think part of his motivation, if he has a list of 3 things, it's to get the Clippers out of this first round so they can get Paul George back. Show the Lakers you quit on me too early and show people that I can beat KD.
And I'm
I
better than
am
him.
I impact the game more than him. I'm a
Yes.
better piece to your team than him. Or
Yes.
not
Yes.
necessarily like I'm better, but I'm not the reason we didn't go to back NBA finals in OKC when they had their run.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
think
Sam Presti right there. That was Sam
because
Presti's fault.
I think people levied that accusation against him and kind of just bestowed this moniker upon Russ that he was like this Grinch that stole KD's shine. And it was like, no, because we can see it now. KD doesn't go get the ball in the games. And it's weird because certain players, like, we have two shots that we can both recall without any research of Dame Lillard ending two NBA playoff series. He's not known as, I mean, granted, he's arguably top 75, but we have the Houston shot in front of James Harden, and then we have the shot that he beat OKC with. We
That was
have
a bad shot.
it was a bad shot. Yeah, he shot it from 37 feet and he nailed it. It was like 2 seconds left for the clock. You should have pressed him a little bit, but this neither here nor there. We have Steph Curry in the regular season. Granted, it was an overtime against OKC when he pulled up and he shot the shot. He was like, and Mike Breen was like, bang, bang. And then you have KD's two shots in the finals, but they were game three. They were up 2-0. He was on a team where he had most of the talent leverage on his side.
Mhm.
But you don't really see any, you don't really have a memory of crunch time, game six, KD hitting the shot that ended the game, won the game, changed the series. Whereas you have that with Kyrie. You have the 50 piece that Giannis put on Phoenix to win Finals MVP. You have these games, and I don't want to like marginalize someone's career down to one game, but when you see KD only getting 6 shots in the second half, it's like how?
Well, it's kind of that same thing where I don't want to do the Rob Parker thing, but just for the purpose of this conversation and what you just brought up, that's what people do with Steph. Is like, hey, these playoff games are here for the taking. Keisha Cole style, where were you? Game one. He had the chance to tie it up, missed the shot. He had some opportunities last night, missed the shot. But we
But you
obviously
do have
know.
game four last year in the NBA Finals. You have game 3 and 4
I know,
back
and
in
that's what
2015.
I was about to say
He
because
has
people
the
try to.
game. He just doesn't have the shot, and I think
Right,
the
he doesn't
shot
have the
is what
moment.
people
Yeah,
remember. Yeah,
right,
Jordan
and that's
shot over
yeah, that's what
Craig
I was gonna
Elo.
say. Yeah.
His shots over Byron Russell. They named the shoe last shot. I mean, they have the Gatorade commercial with Mike throwing the fist pump against Cleveland. So we have those moments. Even LeBron in 2018 when he hit the runner against Toronto, it wasn't that big because I think they felt he was going to beat Toronto anyway. But just that
Right.
whole kind of run, like even the shot before the trade deadline against Jimmy Butler, before they traded away half the team in 2018. So you have these memories of these shots, and it's just like I don't want to, like I said, you don't want to strip down someone's career to these shots, but it's like when you've had opportunities to hit these shots, how come you don't have them? And
So do you
that's the
expect the
thing.
Suns? So you expect the Suns to come out and win tonight,
Depends. It depends
or
on
is the Scott Foster curse real?
is Scott Foster ref in the night?
That's what I heard.
Oh no. You shouldn't have said that to me. Now I gotta look that up. No
Well,
way.
why are you
Again?
looking that up? But why are you looking
I'm
that
gonna look
up?
that up. I'm gonna look that up. Keep
Is-
going.
yeah, yeah. Is Memphis done?
Without Jotter done.
Because I think that Desmond Bain might have been on to something. Whereas, like, you can't expect Hachimura to do what he did again. But the problem with that line of thinking is,
You can't let him do it
like,
again.
no. The problem with that line of thinking is that Hachimura ain't got to because LeBron didn't do it to you in game one. You know what I mean? AD had a good game, but
21, 11, and 7.
AD didn't necessarily do it to you in game one. So, like, yeah, Hachimura doesn't have to do it to you for the Lakers to do it to you. But with that being said, Sacramento's up 2-0, going back to the Chase Center. Are the champs in trouble?
Yes, because what Sacramento does best offensively challenges Golden State defensively because they run Looney out there, Draymond as their those are their defenders. Those are the guys Anyone defending within 8 feet of the hoop is one of those two. Draymond's defending from the pick and roll from the top of the key all the way to the hoop. So he's not really a shot blocker. He's just in good defensive position, which you can't beat every time. You're not always going to be in front of De'Aaron Fox. You're not always going to be in front of Harrison Barnes. You're not always going to be able to hold Sabonis on the block. So you're going to either foul or you're going to give up easy layups. And I know a lot of NBA teams, and I see it every week, and it just blows my mind. It's like, just give up the layup. Don't get an early foul in the first quarter trying to stop a layup. Like, if he beat you, he beat you. Let him get the layup, because if he's on to lay the ball up and you foul him, he's going to get 2 free throws, and now you have a foul early in the first quarter. When you know that's what they're going to do, either get in better position or figure out a way to get Wiggins, Draymond, and Looney on the same page. But what I saw especially in the third quarter and the fourth quarter last night, is that when De'Aaron Fox wanted to beat his guy off the dribble and get to the cup, there's nothing you could do. Especially when Looney had 4 fouls and then Draymond inexplicably get himself kicked out of the game late in the fourth. But before then, because he had 4 fouls for a while, whenever De'Aaron Fox felt like, all right, this is my time, I'm getting to the cup. And then Mike Brown was subbing De'Aaron Fox out and giving him a break. I think he was giving him a break when Steph was on the bench or when Steph was out there. Yeah, so when Steph was out there, they sent the young boy from Baylor,
Davion
Mitchell. So he was just bulldogging Steph, and he was shooting threes. So De'Aaron Fox was getting the rest. So you got a fast guy that none of you guys can stay in front of, getting a breather while you have this bulldog just basically hounding Clay and hounding Steph. They were just all over him. So I don't want to say they're done, but unless they can either they have to make a better percentage from 3, or they got to figure out is there another person that could either help out Looney on near the rim, or can you play a lineup of Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Wiggins, and Draymond? Can you play those 5 guys and be effective? The only way they're going to be effective, they got to knock down the 3, because you got to figure you're giving up all your defensive prowess if you play those 5. But you got to take 3 when they make 2.
And of course, y'all, Raf said all that and left out my other Wildcat, Malik Monk. Like him and De'Aaron Fox, only the college teammates with the most points in a playoff game since Hakeem Olajuwon and Clyde Drexler. But that don't matter, I guess.
That sounds like an ESPN
I
stat.
guess, I guess that don't matter, I guess. But anyway,
First
so
guys
go.
with 60 heartbeats per minute to score 30 points in a
That's right.
playoff game in April.
That's right. That's right. Hey, but Golden State doesn't have to be in trouble, because I was thinking about this earlier. And so you got Sabonis, as your big man. He's not your traditional shot blocking, big figure that Golden State can scheme out of the way and all that. So he kind of provides Sacramento with a bit of Golden State, if you will, because he can switch, he's quick enough and all that stuff. He doesn't have to be an anchor in the paint to be effective. So, but where Golden State, I think, could make up some ground here is you just got to just flat out commit to Andrew Wiggins on De'Aaron Fox. He's just going to have to work himself into shape, because I saw what he did to Jason Tatum in the finals last year. He's just going to have to work himself into shape. Whenever Malik Monk is in the court, Gary Payton III need to be following him around, basically at all times, because Clay ain't effective right now anyway. I'm not saying take Clay off the floor per se. I'm not saying only play him 20 minutes. I'm just saying there's room to where you're going to have to sacrifice a little to get, just from a defensive standpoint.
What are you gonna get though? Because if you have Wiggins essentially exhausting himself chasing the De'Aaron Fox, and you have Peyton on Monk, right? That's your matchup.
Yeah.
And then
you have Steph not wearing himself out, for one, chasing Fox around, so he should theoretically have fresher legs on offense. Clay has fresher legs on offense. So that's what I mean. Like you got to give something to get something. Because there's no perfect answer, or else they would have done it already. So speaking of turnover source pool, I brought him up because like I don't know if Golden State's going to look back at this contract and think, what the hell we were thinking.
He's
But
averaging less points than Russell Westbrook.
so yeah, so far I was going to say so far in this series he's shooting 5 for 17. So that is not allowable on any level. Like he needs to be the supplementary piece of if I got Wiggins chasing De'Aaron Fox around, Jordan Poole needs to bring me some scoring punch when he's in the game. He can't be 5 for 17. He can't be turning the ball over. And these aren't just turnovers where he's like dribbling the ball, he lost control. He's throwing it into the third row. He's just doing all kinds of things that
He had a couple of bad ones. He definitely had a
yeah,
couple of
and
bad ones.
I don't want to get sidetracked by the stomp because I'm sure we'll get into that later. But where I was going to go with that was that's why Draymond's frustrated because he's usually able to get up in these people like Rudy Gobert who can't necessarily outquick him, but Sabonis can move around him, can offensive board. He can get in his head a little bit without even talking to him.
So
So
Warriors done because we're not giving them any solutions. Like the Warriors, they
you
look
know
done.
it. Well,
They
they
look
they
done.
do they do, but at the same time, we already came into the series knowing that they were the worst road team in the playoffs. The other side of that is Sacramento has the best road record out of all the playoff teams. But this is the thing, though. Going home should give Golden State somewhat of a boost, and all they got to do is win in Sacramento once. So, but what this does remind me of a little bit? It reminds, as I was writing down my notes and trying to talk through this, it reminded me of Kobe, rest in peace, Kobe. It reminded me of Kobe against the Mavs. You're down 2-0. Like, what are you going to do, Kobe? We're going to win game three. Oh, it's 3-0. I guess we got to win four in a row now. That's
Yeah.
that's Golden State. That's Golden State. They're going to be looking down the chamber at a 3-0 here if they don't get it together. But I think what's got me is, Mike Brown, the way that he's defending the Warriors because he's not trying to do all this stuff with Steph. He's like, you know what? You stay with Steph. You don't move away from Steph. If
And then
Looney
if you
get
call any fouls, keep grabbing them.
yeah, and that was my other takeaway because last night was such a great game emotionally. Like I was charged up, I was oohing and ahhing but then I just felt like the referees just kept playing games. Like in the second quarter, they were like, "Oh, Golden State flopping and falling on the floor. We got to reward the yeah, if Steph getting a bruise on his knee, we got to reward him." And then in the third quarter, the Warriors had 5 fouls. The Kings were in the penalty in less than a minute and a half of the third quarter. I looked to the wife and I said, "Yo, Sacramento about to build this lead up." And as soon as the fourth quarter started, I said, "Watch how quickly this lead evaporates." And then Sacramento had 3 fouls within the first minute of the quarter. And so when the whole Draymond, when the stomp and all that happened, I was just shocked that they threw him out the game because I thought they were going to do the whole, hey, we don't need to get rid of a superstar or like a star or whatever you consider Draymond to be in this moment, in this game, in this quarter. But I'm glad they did. But hey, real quick, how about Joel Embiid out here looking like Georgetown Patrick Ewing on defense?
I mean, I want, like I said, I'm enjoying the playoffs. I'm enjoying all of it. Like I said, I thought the Philly Brooklyn series would be more competitive. Remember, Cameron Johnson had like 22 points in the first half. I think he had 1 point in the second half.
Harden shooting 32% for the series so far.
Harden, like we talked about this in our pre-meeting, he looks and plays like a guy that's like coming back from surgery, rehab.
Right.
And it's like I don't remember. I remember some soft tissue injuries, like some hamstrings. I remember the whole post when they came back after the 2020 season, and he forced his way out of Houston. People say he looked out of shape. He did look bigger than he did in years previous, but I think a lot of people gained a little bit of little mass during COVID, but it just was like, why do you? He just looks like everything he used to do effortlessly just feels forced. Like even that step back. I mean, come on, when he was averaging like 36 points and 34 points in back to back years, the step back, you knew if you're guarding him and you were betting that the other team was going to win, and he would rock the guy, rock him, tween, and then you hit that step back. It's like, come on. Sometimes he did like a 5-step back, and they never really called it. I remember one game against Utah, he went from like the free throw line to the wing sideline and shoot a three. I'm like, he took 5 steps. But I just think, just for some reason, I think the expectation, what you need from Harden, I'm not sure you're going to be able to get consistently. And I think Embiid, I think once a better defensive team,
like
so
Boston,
right now, like Boston. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4. They don't reseed in the NBA. So if 8
no,
beats 1, it'll just be, whoever they play. So you'll have, so if you have 3,
you got
4,
Boston and Philly,
you have Boston,
2-3,
Philly, and
2-3.
you'll
That's would be the
have
matchup. And you'll have Cleveland potentially against Milwaukee,
Cleveland, Milwaukee.
provided that Giannis,
I think the double team strategy that Brooklyn is using on Joel Embiid, I personally would cut that out. I would just play another big, maybe give me a few more fouls, another big body to make them work. You got Claxton, because they don't have a lot of big defenders, but I would just let Joel eat, and I would stay tight on everybody else. I know it sounds like a risky strategy because he could go for 50, but if he goes for 50 on 27 to 28 shots, let him. Because
guess what's
not rhythm. That means Maxi's not getting easy shots. That means
that's what I was just about to say. Maxi had 33 last night.
Definitely Tobias Harris as a fourth option. He's not getting that many shots. But when you run the double team off, and you don't have, not like they have a great defensive, makeup or pedigree in Brooklyn anyway. They have the strategy that they want to work. Come on, listen, man, go ahead, do your thing. Do your thing.
Yeah, like
if you get 48, you get 48. But if you get 48 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists, we got a shot.
Now this is the thing though. You can get your 48 or whatever. Like let's just call it 40. You could get your 40. You could probably get like say
12, 13,
15 to 17 from the free throw line. And the rest of that, you're probably I can live with you going 10 for 23, just because you're a big man. So if I can hold you to like a 10 for 23, I can live with that. But what's not going to happen? Tyrese Maxey, I ain't gonna tell you where he went to school. Tyrese Maxey ain't gonna get no 33 points. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, you don't at this point, you gotta let Harden try to figure it out to shoot himself into the series. So last night, that game was there for the taking. It was just Mikal Bridges had his lone off game that we've seen him have in the last month. So hopefully coming back home just for entertainment purposes, hopefully he gets back. Yeah, they were just all
cold. It was like 74 and 68 in the fourth. I was like, somebody said this looks like one of those 1990s games. I started chuckling to myself.
Yeah, and dear Jock Vaughn, you got this dude on your bench named Cam Thomas.
Get him 15 minutes, man. Get him 15 minutes and 10 threes.
Let that man microwave. You know what I mean? Like I know the knock is that he don't play defense, but everybody ain't got to be Stacey Augmon. Everybody ain't got to be Scottie Pippen. There's room. That's where you as a coach find ways to devise schemes.
But when I hear that, because Duncan,
how bad is he?
Duncan Robinson's another guy. I remember he was getting a lot of run in the bubble during the finals. He was getting a lot of run that year after. But then slowly they paid him money. I think he's getting like 15, 18 million a year. And it's like,
they got to play him now. They got to play him now. Now that Tyler Hero's out 4 to 6 weeks.
It's like, does he not listen? Is he not coachable? Like if you have a guy you're paying more than $10 million to on the bench because they didn't play defense, then just get rid of that dude and get a dude you could pay $2.5 million that plays nothing but defense. Even if you make another team better in the meantime, go
Yeah,
get you
you could have
another
got Gary
defender.
Payton the third.
You could have had old boy Vanderbilt. You could have had Levert that's in Cleveland. Like you could have
You know what I'm
had
saying?
somebody
What's my
else.
man named Thibault? You know what I'm saying?
You
Somebody.
could have had some other player in there, but like I said, when you have a guy like that can heat up, just put him in the game to heat up.
All right,
Like
so
put him in the
last
game. Like
question.
listen, we gonna run for the next 6 minutes. Yeah, we gonna play 3 and D. That's it. We playing defense. We shooting threes. Let me get my shooters out there. Steph Curry, Joe Harris, Mikal Bridges, Johnson, Speedy Claxton. We going small. We going fast. We not walking anything up. We shooting everything with 16 seconds left on the play clock, on the shot clock. Go.
Yeah, so last question, and then I got a dumbass stat. So so how effective does Giannis have to be for us not to be concerned that Miami gonna win this series?
Well, it's not even a Giannis thing. I think it's a matter of I when Milwaukee was down like in that 8 to 12 range with like 6, 7 minutes left in the fourth. It felt like every possession they were trying to get an open three or taking a three versus getting points. Because Miami doesn't score a lot of points. They shot 60% from three. It's like 15 for 25 from three. They're not going to do it every game. But when the game, I think Milwaukee had the ball coming back up court. Middleton had the ball. I think they might have been down 8. Instead of just getting a bucket or taking to the bucket, he pulled up for 3, missed. Miami came down, hit a 3, lead went to 11. I think that's made the score like 125, 114, something like that. And that is essentially just made, the game was over after that. But I think if you just get a layup, get it to 6, now you set your defense up. Because I think even without Giannis, you got Brook Lopez, you got Middleton, you got Portis, Drew
Drew
Holiday
Holiday.
is one of the best on-ball guards. You got Grayson Allen's out there with a switchblade, stabbing people in the thigh, playing defense. Just doing that Grammy stuff. So I think maybe you can get Miami to panic because that what they're gonna do is they got to run it through Jimmy. So you get it to 6. They've been comfortably in the lead for basically the whole game at that point. I know the whole second half they were comfortably in the lead. No Giannis. So if you get it to 6, you get a stop. Now you got the ball. You're coming back up court with the ball. Maybe 2.5 minutes left in the game. I think maybe 2-3 minutes. You're only down 6. I think you could put a little pressure on Miami. So I think in
Yeah, I
that
think that
regard, you can get Milwaukee's fine if Giannis is even out there. But I think even without Giannis, they can win.
yeah, that's what I was
Game
gonna
2.
say. I think without Giannis, they could still win this series. I wouldn't try it, but I think they could. How the hell did Lakers get off until Wednesday anyway? But anyway, so my
Got to get him
dumbass.
on TV.
Nah, my dumbass stat, right? So we always talk about the old heads and the new school and everything, the arguments and all that stuff, right? And we always talk about how, like, me and you specifically, we always talk about how the same teams made the finals in the 80s and 90s and all that stuff like that. So it was
Yeah.
funny to me that 3 players have won 10 of the last 11 titles. So not necessarily teams, but players. So, starting with LeBron's first championship in Miami, he went back to back. Then Kawhi won the title. Steph won the title. LeBron with the 3-1 comeback. Steph back to back again with KD. So you could add 4 players if you want to, but I was just keeping
Yeah.
it on Steph. So then you got Steph in there. So that takes you through 2018. Kawhi wins 2019. LeBron wins in the bubble in 2020. And then Giannis won
Giannis wins in
2021.
2021, and then
And
Steph
then
wins
Steph
2022.
last year. So that was just crazy to think about. Like I was just sitting around thinking about that earlier today because we always talk about how these same teams were running like decades or whatever the case may be. It's just funny that you can split up these titles.
Because half the league can't manage their team to the point where they keep it together for a long enough run.
Well,
That's the big problem.
that's why I
If
called
you
it a
can't
dumbass
manage your
stat.
teams, it's a dumbass stat because shit, teams from 16 to 30 just trading away. You got Luca, Dallas, and Kyrie. They talking about blowing that up. I'm like, when you gonna replace that?
Like
When you gonna get that?
usually when you blow it up, you have some semblance of success.
Listen, Matt knows switched up Destiny's Child a lot, but he kept Kelly Rowland and he kept Beyonce. He's like, listen,
Right.
yeah, I can get some role players, but I got to keep these two together. They kept their relationship together because it's like you don't just find those two in an audition.
Yeah. And shout out to Jonathan Kaminga, you know what I'm saying?
Like I said, I mean, I think we hit every series. I mean, we could talk about the Lakers Memphis series. I think that's a good one. Denver, Minnesota is just it's I told a coworker last night, a former coworker, retiree, fellow vet. I was like, listen, man, go ahead and take 2 games off of the Denver, Minnesota schedule, add them to Sacramento, Golden State, so we can get a best of 9 series because I think that's going to be the best one. I think
I don't
that
know.
might
I think
be
I like this Knicks Cavs series right now, you know.
as far. Nah, it's nowhere near exciting as Golden State
Oh yeah,
Sacramento.
I'm loving this
You loving
tonight.
it. You're loving the Julius Randle. You know what I mean? Not doing his thing. But listen, I might check on these tickets, and I might be in the building, and I'm gonna get a
All right.
message to Julius like, "Yo, this dude on this podcast, Sports Reports is ordered. We're talking real greasy about you. Here, I'm gonna show you a clip."
You know what the
And he
crazy
goes
part
shout
is?
it out on TNT when he dropped 40 back in Madison Square Garden.
You I know, especially if he dropped 25, right? He gonna be like, "Yo, check out this 2-5." But hey, but you know what the funny part about that is? You be talking all this stuff about me because all the stuff I said earlier. Where he go to school?
Well, listen, I get it. Yeah, everybody don't like everybody that went to this school.
Okay,
Here's the
just
wild
throwing that
thing.
out there.
I
Just throwing
mean,
that out
you
there.
give everybody else enough credit. I think you have enough leniency to go ahead and just squash one of them.
Hey, hey, I'm referring to one dude as Data Davis. So, you know, it's not just Julius Randle. You know, like
Data Davis. I
yeah,
mean,
you know, and
yo,
you know,
Mike is the
there's
worst. Yo, Mike is a real sports fan, y'all. It might not seem like it, but he does actually like these players. He likes the sport. Like he's not exaggerating.
shout out to Michael Kidd Gilchrist.
Oh, yo, you see the still picture of his jump shot when his hand is like it's
I
weird.
know it's
But yeah,
disgusting,
Scott
but
Foster is ref in the night in game 2.
yes,
He's
yes.
13 in a row. He's 2-17 overall.
I wish they could have got the ref that found out that Michael Beasley was cheating. You know,
Yo, when I was reading that, I was like, I'm not sure who did what and why. Like, I don't understand the purpose. I was reading it, but you was talking about the Shanghai Sharks playoff point shaving scandal in the fourth quarter that got coaches and GMs and CEOs fired out in China with a couple of
hey,
former NBA players on it.
did they not learn from Brittany Griner? Don't be crossing these other countries, man. Don't be crossing these other countries.
I don't know
But
what kind of heat
anyway,
they get in there, but it must be worth it.
but anyway, what has been worth it so far is this baseball season. That's what's been worth it because you know we came into this, we were talking about spring training and how there was no buzz. You know, spring training was going on and nobody seemed to have cared. But what you think so far, man? I think I'm enjoying baseball season.
I'm not gonna lie, I was looking at tickets. I was checking the weather. I'm like, I might go check some of these games out. Like I said, I'm in Jersey.
Hey, you looking at tickets ain't gonna become the new Tommy. You ain't got no job, is it?
Listen, I'm going to these games. My the commander of the unit I work for, he talks about us having. We need to have more off-site team building events. Like
Right,
he
right.
demands that. He was like, "Hey, how come you guys haven't done more off-site events?" So
Where's
I'm
the
like,
beer?
"Yeah, we need you guys. You guys need to go. Take the time out. Just plan it out. Just let it go. But you need to go do this." So I'm like, "All right,
Right.
bet." We got a couple of Philly fans in my section of my office, so it's a good game. It's good tailgating. The Citizens Bank Park. It's a big parking lot. You got the Wells Fargo Center, you got the Link, you got the baseball stadium, all in one parking lot. I think the buzz is huge. Granted, there's going to be some teams that just aren't successful. I mean, we look at the standings. I think Oakland is one of those teams that just, unfortunately hasn't really, you know, started off 2023 season properly. We had Tampa
On the
Bay
move.
Rays started out 13-0. I mean, a change of scenery might be like it might be due. It might be due. It might be something that is good for the team. I'm not sure how big the A's are in that area. I know San Francisco is a huge base. I think they take up a lot of the baseball fans. I think it might be a situation kind of like a Clippers Lakers situation where most of your LA basketball fans are Lakers fans. Some are Clippers fans. I think the Oakland, San Francisco Giants dynamic might be the same way. But I mean, I like it so far. I like I'm almost kind of deading on like the Shohei tiny stats. It's like, oh, he's throwing this many strikeouts and hitting this many home runs. It's like, oh yeah, he's a good home run hitter and he's a good pitcher.
Hmm.
We know that. You got to string some wins together. You and Mike Trout. You gotta keep the West Coast interest in baseball alive because he is the show. Because what's gonna happen if that doesn't work out? People are gonna start saying maybe you should go to the Yankees, and it's gonna be the same old bland story where all the East Coast teams get all the best players, and they're gonna start that number off at like $600 million because the narrative is for a top
Ooh,
hitter. Ooh,
my
uh,
Wildcat is down.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw it a few seconds after you. Ooh, he's.
Yeah, he's hurt. That might be tailbone.
Why would you do that with 2 minutes left and you up 21 points? That's fighting words. Yeah,
Well,
no,
Julius Randle is up and walking around, so good news.
he's walking, but
He went up for the dunk and got fouled and came down hard. Looked like
yeah,
it was a tailbone, so he's still holding it, but he's walking, so that's a good sign at least. He's upset because somebody tried to block his dunk, but I mean, you
you
gonna try to
can't do
dunk
this.
it? What if?
You can't.
What
No,
if?
you can't. You can't do that. You can't do that. When people see the replay, that's a dunk. You're not blocking that. You can't. Oh, it's his hip, so he's good. It's not his tailbone.
Playoff basketball, baby.
Nah, it's not playoff basketball. That's dumb basketball. That's dumb because you're not getting to that block. He's one step from the hoop when he caught the ball. You
I
two
know,
steps
but
behind him.
what's funny about that is if he didn't, I'm not. If it was earlier in the game, I'll say,
They up
and
21 points
he didn't try to block that,
after the
people would have
dunk.
said no defense in the NBA.
I
You
don't
know what I'm
care about
saying?
that. Listen, the people would have been like, "Yo, all right, you let that go because there's 2 minutes left and you up 21 points after the dunk."
All right. So back to the Oakland A's real quick, because like when I was a junior growing up, a little tyke, if you will, it was all about the Bash brothers, McGuire and Canseco. So like it kind of hurts me to see Oakland in these dire straits, but they started this whole money ball thing, so they live by the money ball, they die by the money ball.
Yeah, shout out to the Baltimore Orioles, my dad's favorite team, 10-7. They've been
Holla.
terrible the last
Same
few
record as
years.
the Pittsburgh Pirates as of last night. I haven't looked at any scores today, so I don't know what's going on today. But as of last night, the Pittsburgh Pirates were 3 games above 500.
Yo, that's probably the, the latest in the season they've been 3 games above 500. That's wild. Yeah, so you
Yeah,
got
so
the Dodgers are under 500. That's a shock. I imagine that's going to turn around as it gets a little warmer in California a little sooner. I think they'll hit their run. But for the most part, I think the beauty part about baseball is that what you get normally is you'll get a couple of teams that run out and have great starts to the season. You had Tampa Bay start out 13-0, but then when they come back to earth, they're going to play normal baseball. And then you'll have a team like the Yankees
yep.
are sitting behind them at 10-6. Maybe over the next 10 games. They go 7-3. And they kind of like close that gap as Tampa Bay has a regular 10 game, 5-5, 4-6. It happens. You lose a 3 game series.
Yeah, I
So
mean they've
what
lost
in the
two out of
series?
three coming into today. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just happens. So I think the parity is good for MLB. I still think they gotta find a better way of of getting them like getting themselves into the popularity limelight. Because right now, I mean, it's the same thing we talk about hockey at some point in the next couple of weeks. Their playoffs started. It's like I get it, you have your fan base, but the NBA has 3 games on the night. Last night the game went off at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I gotta go to work. I gotta get up for work at like 7 something. I'm still watching that game. Same thing on Sunday night when the games are played. Like you need to get to the point where people want to watch your games late instead of people want you to rush your games, which and you can go over the stats about the time of the games and how they've been a little shorter and the pitch clock and everything else and how teams are working that to their advantage. But you get a guy that throws a ball over the first twice, like you can't do it again. So now you got a good chance to jump in and steal second. So I think a lot of the nuance of the league is working out. So I think that's pretty dope. But in the same sense, is like I still want the storylines and I still want players to generate that storyline. I want to root for Mike Trout. I want to root for Bryce Harper. I want to root for Aaron Judge. I want these guys to do things that make me want to watch their game versus just being like, oh, it's a baseball game. I live 45 minutes from Philly. Let's go check out a game. I want to have like a reason to go.
Well, that's why I'm confused about who's actually sports fans and who's soap opera fans. Because if the Yankees or the Dodgers had started out 13-0, this would have been Days of Our Lives all over the TV. You know what I mean? Like, but it's little old Tampa, and it's just like, it's the first month of the season. And you mentioned the Dodgers being under 500. Not only are the Dodgers under 500, the Padres are under 500. So they're a half game worse than the Dodgers. And my
Money can't buy
surprise
you love, baby.
yeah, my surprise pick, the Arizona Diamondbacks. They were my team that were going to break out this year. They're looking pretty good, sitting in first place. I don't expect that to last, but for right now, I'm a bask in the glow, if you will. But yeah, as you mentioned, the games are finishing up quicker. So the game average as of last night was 2 hours and 38 minutes. That was actually through Sunday, which is down from 3 hours and 8 minutes from last season. So that's 30 minutes completely gone, shaved off of last season. Last season finished at 3 hours and 4 minutes. So at this point in the season, it was at 3:08, finished at 3:04. So right now, baseball's cut about 36 minutes off. Not only that, but the major league home run leader coming into today was from New York. He just played for the Mets, so nobody cares. So Pete Alonso with 8 home runs. So, followed by Boston's Rafael Devers, with seven. So the long
That's the
ball is
thing. Like
back in.
8-7. That's
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like that's not on pace for anything major. And I think that's what baseball needs. Baseball needs that level of a storyline to get people
Break out the
freaking
roids,
casual
baby.
watchers. Listen, I always said every team should have 2 players on the team that don't get tested.
Yeah.
You can
So
pick him
so
at random. You just let the league know who it is, and you don't test your best left-handed pitcher and your best power hitter, and we'll let it ride. Everybody else is subjected to getting tested. But when Sammy
yeah.
Sosa and Mark McGuire were hitting those home runs, and Brady, like I said, Brady Anderson with the sideburns, and those other
Yes.
guys, Liddy Dykstra had like 30 home runs at the All-Star break. He's a shortstop. I mean, it was bananas. You knew
Something was
listen,
a muck.
all this, yeah. Somebody's running
Yeah.
amok with the needle, but it was like
Yeah.
it was
So
fun to watch. It
So,
was
so
fun to
just for
watch.
you all, so just for all of y'all that care out there, the Cleveland Cavaliers have beaten the New York Knicks 107-90 in Game Two to tie the series at two, and it's time for the main event: Clippers and Suns, baby. But back to
Scott
baseball.
Foster, Scott Foster versus
Chris Paul,
Chris
yeah.
Paul.
So, So one thing I wanted to keep my eye on during baseball season was stolen bases. With the pitch clock, all that good stuff. Like, were we going to see an increase in stolen bases? So far, not so much per se. Last year, the steal rate was about 1.4. Now it's at 1.7. But out of the 241 stolen base attempts through Sunday, 196 of them were successful, which is an 81% rate, which is all time high. So if that remains, the rate of stealing bases haven't necessarily gone up, but the success rate has gone up. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. The Braves looked like what I thought the Braves were going to be. Sitting in first place, they were 12-4 last time I looked. And then the American League West looks like it's going to be a dog fight. So, of course, those of you out there, that that as the division of the Astros. But you know what? The Seattle Mariners are on the come up. The Texas Rangers are what's the word? The trendy team that everybody was on coming into the season. That is the division that houses Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, who I still cannot point out of a lineup. But they're all in that division. So the AL West, I
It looks
expect
like
to
a
be.
Navy SEAL.
I expect the AL West
Short
to be a
haircut.
dogfight. And also Raf, he went on his, thing. He mentioned the New York Yankees being 10-6 in second place to the Tampa Bay Rays. I don't even know if they're the Devil Rays anymore. I think they're just the Rays now. But
Yeah, they
point
took the
being,
devil off. Florida don't
but
play that.
yeah, never mind with that governor they got. Anyway, so so Raf brought up the Yankees, but he ain't tell you that the Blue Jays got the same record. I don't even know. See, because they don't play in New York. All cities matter.
Listen, the the AL East right now it's looking like it's gonna be the premier baseball division right now. Maybe it's East Coast bias, or maybe it's the fact that 4 to 5 teams have 10 wins, and the team that's Boston 8-9. I mean, we could talk about the juggernaut that is the AL West when they have basically 3 wins and 14 losses at the
so so
bottom.
so
Yankees
basically,
have
so
8.
basically, so
The
basically,
AL
what I
East
got
is
out of this.
expensive.
So basically, what I got out of this is the AL East is the SEC and the AL West is the ACC.
Pretty much, and because it's something about the way these teams just go for it every single opportunity they get. Toronto always puts together a good team. Big Canadian pride. Obviously, Boston, a lot of old money. The Orioles are just a proud tradition, proud organization. Tampa Bay's always been a good team. Like
Yeah, solid.
it's been solid. They've had solid pitchers. I think they've always been able to get people to come play there. They've always been able to shell out the money and the environment to get people to play there. And then the Yankees are the Yankees. And so the pinstripes, the legends. I mean, at some point, it's going to be a situation where 1 through 20, you won't be able to wear any of those numbers when it comes to the
And,
Yankees. They're going to just be
and,
retiring everything. I think like 0 through 10, you can't wear. Right
and
after they're all retired.
yeah, and it's early in the season, but there's a reason Tampa Bay started 13-0 and why they're sitting at 14-3 because they're second in batting average, first in home runs, and first in ERA given up. So like they're doing it on both sides of the ball. We'll see if that's sustainable. But right now, and with a team like that, I think it can be. Maybe I don't know necessarily about the home runs, but but one thing I do know about baseball: death, taxes, and John Carlos Stanton on the disabled list.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I know about baseball. Get well, John Carlos. Stop getting hurt.
It's like Ace King in Texas Hold'em. Looks good, can't play at all.
Can't play at all. But yeah, like baseball, I was a little nervous coming into the season because like, we touched on it. There wasn't a lot of talk. There wasn't a lot of brouhaha about baseball. But what I like about it though is that it's coming from a lot of different places. Like the Brewers look good right now. Even though they play in Milwaukee, but they're 11-5. So it's not just about Tampa Bay. because now that they're 14-3, like there's other teams with records comparable right now. When they were
Yeah,
13-0, they were just ahead of the pack. But Milwaukee's look good. Like I mentioned, Atlanta is looking about what I thought they were going to be. The AL Central looks like it might be a pretty good race coming up. With the Guardians, the Twins, White Sox still hanging around a little bit. So I think we're in for a good race. We'll see how it ends up near All-Star break. Where we're
yeah,
sitting at that time. But I don't think that outside of, like I mentioned, the New York or the LA team being 13-0 or whatever, like I think baseball couldn't have scripted much of a better start than what they've got off to.
yeah. I, I think that the entire this entire month, I think this latter part between March and May is just such an exciting time for sports, and the fact that Tampa Bay started off great. You have the whole AL East is starting off great. You have Shohei Ohtani. You have the World Baseball Classic. You have you have such excitement for sports in general because most of these cities have NBA teams as well. They have football teams. So I think a lot of the cities are sports cities as already. So as you transition through the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, on the heels of that, it's going to be who's an all star. So we'll
Right.
have the NFL draft and everything's all done, NBA championships done. You can even throw in WNBA getting ramped up. I think they might get a little bit more run this year. I think this might be a little bit more of an effort publicly and with the organizations to try to maybe promote a little bit more, maybe get a little bit more eyes on their sport. So and then you have people who like to be at home. I think
And there's
people are
there's
so
my
used to
stat.
working at home. I think people like watching these games. I think people like coming back out to the ball fields because we had that couple of years with COVID where I remember watching games when the NFL came back that fall of 2020, and I would watch like an old comedy special from like 2018 and 2019, and somebody sold out Radio City Music Hall and it's packed, and I was sitting in my house like, yo, are we gonna be able to go back to arenas and stadiums because you regretting tickets you didn't buy and stuff like that, and you're watching these games, Seattle Stadium, nobody there, Atlanta had no fans. The
Yeah.
Raiders didn't have any fans. Dallas was like, we don't care at all. Tampa Bay had
Yeah.
fans, but a lot of places just have any fans. So I think as people are transitioning out of that, getting back into sports, and then you'll have we love MLB All Star. Who's going to be the All Star game, the home run derby, the
Iron
softball
Derby. Yeah.
celebrity games, and that transitions right into the trade deadline and the bottom teams giving up assets to the top teams, and then they have a great playoff run. So I think baseball just it feels like because they start in April that they kind of get overshadowed. But I
Uh
think
huh.
this is I think now maybe because we're doing this now, I'm starting to look at it more and pay more attention to it. But I see the popularity is there. And if you look at the ticket prices right now, people, if you go on StubHub, they're not sponsoring us yet, or SeatGeek, they're not sponsoring us yet either. You can get tickets. I think I was looking at tickets last week. I think Friday at work. So Friday was like the 13th. The Philly game this weekend. I think they have a 3-game series this weekend. I think it's the Marlins. I believe I could be wrong. But Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, you can get tickets $35. Granted, you have the fees, but you get 2 tickets for like $120. You're on the first baseline in the outfield, like right in the right field. Yankee game, you're in like row 6 or 7 in right field, and there's a short porch in right field at the Yankees game. A lot of left-handed guys, they're putting it into the 6th row because I think it's like 330 feet.
Right.
So I see. I think it might even be shorter than that, maybe like 316 or something like that. But it's somewhere. It's no more than 330 feet. So like that home run is probably 370 feet if you're in the 5th or 6th row, and that ticket was $50 against the Twins, I believe. So baseball
Yeah. Come
has that
on.
advantage. Go out there and check out some games. But I'm gonna pitch it tomorrow when I go to work. Like, let's do an off site, and we'll just go to the game. We'll go to a
Yeah. Come
game.
on,
The
Oakland
game's at 1
A's.
o'clock.
Come on down to San Antonio, Oakland A's. Like closest thing to me is the Astros. And but I was thinking about it. Don't Las Vegas don't even pick up Oakland. They're losers just like Portland. So that maybe that's where they should end up.
if they move anywhere, they would move to Vegas first because Vegas
But
has the infrastructure. I mean, it'd be hot. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know about playing a baseball game in Vegas in July because
I
I've been there in
thought
August watching a bum drink beer out of a trash can. I was like,
I, I
whoa,
know that
we're
wasn't Russell
too hot for
Westbrook for
that.
3. Yeah, and and just block KD shot. Yeah. So just to
You do
clean
this to me
myself
every
up.
week. You stream a little
I'm
quicker than me
sorry. I'm excited.
every week,
I'm
every
excited. I'm
game.
excited. I don't do it on purpose. I'm excited.
I'm looking like
But
that
just to
shit better
clean
be right.
myself up, just to clean myself off, it was KD with one shot attempt in the last 650 of that game 1. So there you go. But stuff like that hurts the Suns. But did Jalen just hurt Lamar Jackson?
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, man.
You
You
know,
gotta do what you gotta do.
what is that? 5 year, 255 million contract extension. 179.3 guaranteed. Which is less than Kyler Murray and of course Deshaun Watson. But
Wait,
it is the third.
Kyler Murray got less than guaranteed than that, didn't he?
Oh, I
I don't
thought
think he got
Kyler
that
Murray
much
got.
guaranteed.
I thought he got 180. I might be wrong on that one. I thought he got 180, but what I'm
All I know
saying.
was Jalen. I think he got over $100 million at signing.
Yeah,
It's like
talk
Dak.
to him.
Dak got 96 million or so because he had the franchise tag and however that paid out, and then the signing. I think he got like 96 million, and then when it came back around, he got like another 40 or so million and another bonus. Like you can go to sportstrack.com and get all these breakdowns and the bonuses and everything else.
Yeah,
I think Philly did I think Philly did a smart thing for their team and for their locker room. And I saw a breakdown that somebody posted on Twitter. I want to give them credit, but I can't remember what it was. But somehow they got the cap hits. It's like 6 million this season, 13, 21, like 26. Meanwhile, like the Daniel Jones cap hit is like 30, 31, 40, and 51. So it's
51. Yep.
like
Hmm.
who's making these up? Same thing with Michael Thomas, the wide receiver down in the Saints. His cap hits like $51 million, but he's only getting like 20 or 22. So whoever can figure out this cap, I mean, you're putting yourself in the proverbial catbird seat because if you can give a guy the quote unquote richest contract year to year in NFL history, and it only cost your team $6 million the first season of it, then you're doing something special.
And
I don't know
the best
what kind of
part.
calculator you're using, but you're using a good one. Willy
And
Wonka
the
calculator
best
or
part.
something.
They didn't let him hit free agency. How about that, Baltimore?
I think it's a lot of layers of ego. I'm gonna go with ego. uh, that benefited Jalen and is subsequently hurting Lamar. I think the Philly front office is like, yo, we can make this kind of deal and still be a championship contender. When historically, once your quarterback gets like 20% of your cap, you win the Super Bowl, like it just doesn't happen. Because I don't even think Mahomes isn't at 20%. He might be the the anomaly, exception to the
Yeah.
rule. But
Right.
his contract is still very team friendly. But when Matt Ryan won MVP, his contract was like 20+%. I think when Tom Brady was getting paid, it was over 20%. So it was like when you give that much money to one player, historically, you don't win the Super Bowl. But I think the NFL and I think the Eagles are recognizing it's not just about winning the Super Bowl. You sell out a 70,000 seat stadium every week based on how well your team performs. So, in order to ensure that your core players stay intact, you don't upset your wide receivers and have them taking shots at your GM on Twitter, You pay the players who've earned it. You pay the guys who got you there because now all those number one Hurts jerseys are going to fill up a lot of those 70,000 seats. There's going to be people in the parking lot tailgating. There's going to be people paying for the NFL package. There's going to be people buying merchandise. There's going to be people buying season tickets. There's going to be money you're going to recoup. You're going to be on Monday Night Football. You're going to be on Sunday Night Football. You're going to be on NFL Fox Game of the Week. You're going to be in everyone's TV from week 1 to week 18. I'm a Falcons fan. I don't know the last time we were Monday Night Football. I think we got one Thursday Night Football game against Carolina, which, whatever. I don't recall a Sunday Night Football game. I don't recall being NFL Sunday Game of the Week at that 425 slot on Sunday that Dallas seems to get all the time. Green Bay gets all the time. Philly's going to get all the time. The game that New England used to get all the time because they were New England. So just by paying him, you don't have to have this. You won't be in this conundrum like Baltimore is, because Baltimore is in a serious situation where you have a stubborn owner, a stubborn GM, a stubborn player personnel, a coach that's going out there saying all the right things, a stubborn quarterback, and you might be in a situation where you're 4-7 or 4-6 or 3-7 when he decides to come back week 11 and actually sign that tender, even if he doesn't want to. But he can hold
As
out
he
all week
should.
with no penalty.
As he should.
So what are you gonna do? You're gonna do like what Emmitt Smith and Jerry Jones did when he held out and they went
All
0
it took was
2,
2 games.
2 games, and they gave him the deal, but that deal was only like, I think it was like 20 million for like 6 years or something. It was crazy. It
well,
wasn't 20 million per year. It was like 20 million total. I think he was getting
well,
like
there's a
bonus
couple of
money.
things. Well, there's a couple of things that play here, and we've mentioned it. Burrow and Herbert are coming up. So that's first and foremost. Burrow and Herbert are coming up. With Jalen Hurts taking this deal, getting this deal that he got, and he's only going to be making 3 million this season before it kicks in. He took this deal, so now we're at a point where the collusion may have just won. Nobody's getting the Deshaun Watson deal but Deshaun Watson. So Lamar's going to have to curb that back a little bit, and it might be time. And I didn't want to have to go there, but it
I
might be
don't think
time.
so.
It might be time to get an agent.
I don't think so. I
Tell
think
me
I
more.
think I think this might embolden Lamar even more because this might not have been the deal that Baltimore offered him. Because Baltimore's argument in the public eye, from all the reports, excuse me, get some water here.
Well,
From all the reporting from
a couple of
Schefter
these
and
guys have
everybody
made
else,
Super Bowls.
I mean, making the Super Bowl, it takes a lot more just a quarterback, offensive line. I
Definitely,
mean, you had Lane
definitely,
Johnson out there playing with the torn muscle in his abs, and every player was like, "You have no idea how difficult it is."
definitely. But it's point counterpoint. Lamar's going to say, "Hey, I'm the youngest MVP." Blah blah blah. Or I think he was the youngest. I'm the youngest MVP. And if
He
he
was the
wasn't,
first unanimous one for sure.
yeah,
So he
there
has
you
that
go.
piece.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
has
he
that
has that in
privilege.
his
Yeah.
pocket. And then they're gonna say, so you want me to pay you as much as Joe Burrow that, oh, by the way, made a Super Bowl. You want to pay you, it's just point counterpoint is all it is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying like that's
I
just
don't. I don't think. I don't think that. I don't think either. I don't think that's a good negotiation standpoint. Is that, oh, a few years back I was MVP, because they're not paying you for what you did in the past. They're paying you for future services. So you can't be like, oh, well, I won MVP, and then every year, realistically, Patrick Mahomes, when he won MVP, his numbers were through the roof. But if they never gave him a deal, someone can literally say, well, every year since you won MVP, your numbers have been down. And that's a
right,
real argument.
right.
What the argument for Baltimore simply is, and for Lamar, and what they should understand together is that, neither one of you are going to get a better opportunity separate. You need each other right now because you've each poisoned the well. Baltimore, by letting the deal run all the way out, it shows either you don't have any faith in him as a player, and then people can look at this MVP year and they can make their own assessment. Like, okay, well, he was great one year. He was great for the MVP year, and every year after that, his numbers dropped, which is going to happen. You're not going to have a perfect. You're not going
Right.
to lead the league in the rushing yards as a quarterback and passing touchdowns every year. Just this isn't going to
Right.
happen.
Right.
So then the other teams will look at Baltimore like, okay, I'll trade you for him, but I'm only giving you a first round pick. And I think people are holding up to try to use their draft pick this year and then trade 2024 and 2025. Because if you give me Lamar right now and his win percentage is like 72%, I'm looking at 12-5 off the rip, playoff berth. So I'll give you my number 22 or 23 or 24 or 25 pick next year, depending on how far they go in the playoffs, versus giving you Indy, my number 4 pick this year. So I think they both put themselves in precarious positions where they have ruined each other's leverage, and simultaneously they are perfect for each other because of that.
All
And
the
like
toxicity.
you're both so toxic that
Yeah.
you just go together. Your Hennessy and cranberry. Like, I mean, you just go together, just throw the ice in it, make it work. But if Baltimore didn't offer him 255 and 180 guaranteed, say they offered him, because he said 3 years, 133. Say they were willing to go 240, 160 guaranteed. Say like that was say that's the text message that the GM had. He's ready to send it to the owner, and then the Jalen deal breaks. He's like, damn, now I can't send this 240 with the 160 guaranteed because Jalen just got 179 guaranteed and 255. So now we got to go back to a drawing board we don't want to be at in the first place. And now we got to go 260, 200 guaranteed, a 260, 190, and he still wants to fully get. I think they put themselves in such a bad position by letting it play out this long, play out this publicly, that someone's just gonna either have to meet in the middle, or the Ravens is gonna have to just be like, you know what, we can do it without you, and Lamar's gonna have to say, I can do it without y'all.
Yeah, and I think that's where we are. That's why last week I asked, I need somebody during the NFL draft. I don't care who it is. Somebody just needs to come with something. Either make Baltimore match, shit or get off the pot. That's where we are at this point. And I don't think that, like, I think the longer that time goes on, he may recapture some leverage. But as we are in the off season right now, I don't know how much leverage he has at this moment because they do have him on the tag. So it's either, hey, take this 32 million or don't.
I think if you had to give a percentage to it, I would go 60-40 Lamar,
Okay.
because no matter how no matter how you look at it, there are not many guys that you can definitively go grab and say, all right, he could do better than Lamar.
Right. Right.
Because I think that's the kicker. So like it'd be 40-40, and I think the additional 20% is Lamar's the narrative surrounding the fact that you can't just go get another quarterback. And I think maybe Carolina might they've traded up the one. Maybe they think they can get Richardson. I saw a rumor that it's going to be Bryce Young because he canceled some meetings, and then I heard another one
Right.
from CJ Stroud because he is Frank Wright's size quarterbacks. I think Frank Wright's about 6'2.5", 6'3", so he's a big guy. So he likes
Yeah, he's definitely
big
got a type.
guys. So he has those types of quarterbacks or whatever the case may be. But that's it's so many smoke and mirrors going on that Baltimore and Lamar, whatever person is representing him, whatever person has his ear, whatever person in a building that can reach him, they need to get in a room, sit at a table, and iron this out. Nothing personal. Just like, yo, this is just business.
Yep.
We gotta pay XYZ players. We gotta do this and the third because you're only gonna hurt yourself, especially when you're in a division that's winnable. I know Cincinnati's dope, but you had them on the ropes with Tyler Huntley.
Right.
If he
Right.
runs the sneak the way it's supposed to be run, or you just give it to one of your big backs, that you have, or your 300, or you let your 300-pound fullback lead your 220-pound running back through the hole. I'm just doing simple math here to get you 1 yard
So
instead of your 190-pound quarterback. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, I'm no
well, there is another there is another side of this though. He does decide to sit out and they start 4-1.
I still think that doesn't hurt. I don't think that hurts his position because he's still talented.
No, he definitely is, but he's also missed 10 games the last 2 seasons as well.
True indeed. Joe Burrow missed a whole year with the ACL, and they went out and
And
drafted
then,
Jamar Chase. So it's
and then he
like
came back and
came
made the
back and
Super Bowl.
made the Super Bowl. So like, I don't think that. I think these guys are so young. They're so athletically and physically advanced. I think they have great doctors that rehab them. I also think they have doctors because I was watching a Raw Room podcast with Jalen Collins, the former Tennessee linebacker Darren Bates, and they talked about like the Toradol and getting the shots because Byron, what was his name? Cornerback from Miami just retired. He was in Dallas.
Oh,
He was
Byron Jones.
Byron Jones just retired. He posted that he can't run or walk normally because he kept taking the shots and injections on Toradol. So I think these doctors, they do a good job of getting the guys back in the game. But I think in the rehab process, a lot of these guys come back. I mean, we saw Adrian Peterson come back in 9 months from ACL. Then
Well,
guys
that's where
come
he
back from
messed up.
shoulder
He should have went
surgeries.
to the LeBron James of medicine.
Listen to LeBron James of feet or whatever these titles are, these monikers. But I think even if they start 4-1, he'll be better than the quarterback in Tampa Bay. He'll be better than the quarterback in Carolina. He'll be better than the quarterback in Indy. He'll be better than the quarterback
In
in
Washington, in Atlanta,
Vegas, Atlanta, Washington,
Arizona.
the Los Angeles Rams, possibly the San Francisco 49ers. So Lamar Jackson, even if Baltimore is 4-1, Lamar Jackson, October 5th, 2023, healthy, sitting at home, working out, is still better than 10 to 12 quarterbacks minimum
Yeah.
that all have aspirations. He's better than whoever they're going to have in Tennessee. He's better whoever they're going to have in Houston. Granted, Houston's going to draft a rookie, but I'm saying, like,
I mean, he might be better than Russell Wilson after what we just saw.
he'll be better than the guy they have in Denver. So Baltimore can hope that they start off great and maybe get some leverage back, but the likelihood that that's the case, because if I'm no defensive genius, but I know Tyler Huntley's not a great passer. He's not a great thrower of the football. So I'm gonna put 8 guys in the box. Your number one wide receiver hasn't played. He didn't play all. He hasn't played since February 2022, and the last time he played
Uh-huh.
towards ACL. So
Your
it's like,
number
all right,
two receiver arguing with the GM about his work.
and he's coming off. He's coming off injury. And I get all these guys are healed, but there's no continuity there. There's
Yeah.
Tyler Huntley. Odell Beckham Jr. is not flying to wherever Tyler Huntley is running routes. Like Kadarius Toney, he's going to Texas and running routes with Patrick Mahomes. If Patrick Mahomes says, "Hey, me, Kelsey, Beach, McKinnon, we're all
Yeah.
be down here in
Odell
Tyler,
Beckham got
Texas."
better things to do, like watch the Yankees, I guess.
Odell Beckham's more likely to be down in Texas with Patrick Mahomes before he goes wherever Tyler Huntley is to run routes.
Don't make no
Like,
damn
just keep it up.
sense.
Just keep it a buck. So, Grant, we know this topic is it's about Jalen Hurts' contract. Congratulations, shout out to a guy
Yeah,
who
it sounds like he might have had a no trade clause up in there too.
the he's so smart, man. He's just a
Yeah, he
smart guy.
really is. You
Everyone
know,
says about him he is such a leader of men that it's just you can't. Like they say, you can't measure it, and
Well, he showed you who he was. Like he could have easily, when the whole Tua thing happened at Alabama, he could have easily took his ball and went home and all that good
yeah.
stuff. But he stayed ready and he came back and rescued Alabama at one point.
Not only did he stay ready, he graduated. He graduated from Alabama and transferred to Oklahoma as a graduate transfer. That way, he didn't have to sit out a year. This is before the rules changed. We'll get into that,
Right.
in the latter segment. But he stayed, went to school, graduated, still was pound for pound strongest player on the team, still a leader. And then, like you said, ostensibly just came in and saved uh, Alabama in their NC championship game after, man, he stepped all the way out of bounds.
I
Uh,
know.
so I think that matters, and that could hurt Lamar because Howie Roseman will get on TV and be like, "Oh, what Jalen's able to do for our team. We didn't want his contract to expire because how all these GMs take shots at each other because they go to these
Oh
meetings.
yeah.
They
Oh
all don't
yeah.
like each other. It's a lot of clicks. It's a lot of people. It's like I can't imagine it's a lot of people who really like Jerry Jones. It's probably not a lot of people who really like Josh McDaniels or Bill
Oh,
Belichick.
Kawhi's so disrespectful. Say he gonna strip KD and go get the dunk at the other end. You gonna let the dude with the Todd Gurley knees beat you down the court.
You did it again, huh? Every time.
I don't know when your TV gonna catch up. I'm just
You
trying to
know
update the listeners.
mine is behind
Don't be
yours.
selfish.
So
I
if
don't
you
know how
just saw it,
far.
you should be like, you know what? It's probably behind. But come on.
I know I counted to 30 in my head before I said it though.
I got 151 on the clock.
I'm
About
at
a minute left.
120. All right, I'm at 125. I won't do it no more.
All
I
right.
won't do it no more. Sorry, America. Get your own updates.
It is what it is. You can give them updates. I'll just look. I keep it on mute anyway. Even when I'm not recording, I keep it on mute. I'll just lean
Yeah.
back and check in.
Oh, and Kawhi had the elbow too. He gave him the little forearm shiver before he dumped it. That they ain't call.
Yeah,
Like
'cause
that bugs me out so much. They be letting these little dudes, especially at AAU, these little dudes be like slapping defenders' hands away, and then they call the defender for like farting. What I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man.
fouls are never even. Like and most things aren't. Most things you deal with aren't even. Most things are. It's clear. You can
Yeah.
not like it. You just got to look at it. Like, okay, these are the parameters that I'm dealing with, i.e., Lamar. Like, listen, you may feel like they should have given you a deal 2 years ago. They didn't. Now you got to get the best deal you can get out of the situation, not the best deal of the history of your sport.
Well,
Like
when it
that bar seems ridiculous because
well, when
I
it could
haven't seen anybody have this kind of conflict with their contract in recent years,
no,
not the sport.
no.
So, and I don't want to do the whole thing where I'm blaming the millionaire because the billionaires are being stingy, but in the same sense, it's like, fuck, like, what they do that at? Like, yeah, one team gave a guy a $230 million guarantee contract, and then wrote it to where he only got paid $1 million for his first year because they were expecting him to get suspended because that team is shady. That team would do anything to win. That team did not understand that, like, where there's smoke, there's fire, and there was someone pouring gasoline on that fire. And they're like, you know what, we're cool. We're gonna give it all these picks. We already got a guy here we don't like, but we're gonna pay him
Yeah,
$30 million and bring another guy and pay him 230. It's like, yeah.
yeah. So speaking of all this money and all these deals, tell me about these twins, man.
Oh, the Cavander twins.
Yeah, tell me
Making
about
big
them.
money. Big money. They are part of this like I said, I focus a lot of my NIL research for this topic on, it's a few women that were getting big deals. Um, these twins, they transferred from Fresno State to Miami. Miami made the tournament. They're good basketball players. Great buzz on social media. they were getting somewhere between like 4.5 million between the two of them. Like I think they were each getting like two. One was getting like 2.3 million. The other one was getting 2.2 million in NIL deals. They have like an Under Armour deal. I saw the article today that they might be like new WWE wrestling divas potentially. Like I don't know how far that's locked in. Then you have the LSU gymnastics star Olivia Dunn. I don't know if you really call her a star, but she definitely is a big enough buzz on social media to where,
She's a star to me.
yeah, because people just like the way she looks. But she was getting 3.5 million. Um, so the thing that sparked this topic, you and I had a conversation probably about 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and I was talking about Tom Izzo's quotes that you're going to get into the specifics of. But a lot of these coaches are upset with the transfer portal, which is kind of ironic because they take players all the time. I remember, like I said, I got recruited to the Air Force. I joined the Air Force. I went to see my recruiter in 1999. I went to MEPS. And I remember I got a phone call on my sister's line in my house, and it was a Marine recruiter. He's like, "Hey, what's going on? I'm Sergeant so and so. I want to talk to you about joining the Marine Corps." I'm like, "Yo, I'm going to MEPS for the Air Force tomorrow." He was like, "Really?" I was like, "He's like, what part of MEPS?" It's my first trip to MEPS. He's like, "Okay, okay. Well, if you change your mind, let me know." I'm like, "I'm pretty locked into this Air Force thing, but I'll let you know." So that was December. I went to get in January. I was locked in from January. I was leaving for basic training in May. May 16th, I was leaving my crib. May 15th, I get a phone call. "Hey, what's going on? Sergeant Jackson from United States Marine Corps." I'm like, "Yo, I'm going to the Air Force tomorrow." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yo, like my recruiter's on his way to pick me up to take me to the hotel so I can catch my flight to basic training." He's like, "You sure you still want to leave?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's literally on his way to come get me. I'm thinking, so why does he keep calling me? But if I was like a college recruit and I was committed to Georgia, then all of a sudden I flipped to LSU. How did that happen? If I make a public commit that I'm going to Georgia, but then all of a sudden a Georgia defensive coach gets hired on at LSU, and now all of a sudden I flipped to LSU. So someone had to communicate with me. I didn't make that decision on my own as an 17, 18 year old. Like, oh, this coach is leaving. I'm going to go with him. I'm going to go. I know the process to withdraw my original commitment and then submit another one because the school that you select originally will not break down how to get out of it for you. No one's gonna be like, "Oh, yo, thanks for committing us." But in the event that you change your mind, these are the paperwork you have to fill out. Don't sign this, and if you sign that, like they're not gonna break it down like that. So the other school is communicating with you. They're gonna get you. So these coaches are upset that these guys are getting to the program and it's like, listen, if you're gonna get I have 20 scholarship shots in basketball, tops. 20 is probably a stretch. And you got some walk-ons, you got the coach's son, you got his nephew or his grandson or whatever. They always get a spot. I remember always seeing Bayheims on the bench. I even think Bobby Hurley and all of his grandson, nephews, all these guys are on the UConn team dribbling the ball at the end of the game. So there's not that many spots. So if you have 8 or 9 guys in rotation, juniors and sophomores, and I'm a freshman, and I don't get any burn. I'm like, I came all the way up here to Connecticut and I don't get to play at all. And you bringing in 3 more guys who play my position, I'm gonna go to Murray State because they don't get to recruit 5-star guys. I got here, I got a taste of this D1 5-star athlete life. It's not for me. I don't like the coach. I don't like the attitude. I don't like what you say in the media about the NIL deals. I'm out. What's wrong with that? We've seen a lot of
Not a
coaches
damn
leave.
thing. Not a damn thing.
Exactly.
And like some very respected coaches, like last time we talked about Dabo Sweeney, a lot of people say that Jay Wright from Villanova, two-time national championship coach, Coach Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, and then they said that he got fed up with NIL, and that was part of the reason that he stepped down. So coaches are like some coaches, I guess, are willing to die on that sword. But I think for me, I think my biggest issue with all of it is don't talk to me about capitalism if it don't apply to everybody. Like this is where the rubber meets the road because all I hear about is you could get rich doing this. You know why somebody is rich off of TikTok because they built a base and they got a market and these people are watching them. Like, well, there's millions of people watching them. So like, we were talking about UConn and San Diego State a few weeks ago and how the women's tournament eclipsed them. And it was funny because the viewership of the national title game between UConn and San Diego State went down 5 million from last year's championship game. But over 9 million people still watched it.
Yeah,
and I don't want
monetize that.
yeah, and I don't want these dudes to be able to like market themselves or to build off of that. So this is from iconsource.com. In the very first year that NIL was established, there was an estimated $917 million paid out to college athletes so that's across all sports. Obviously, the majority is probably football and basketball because those are the money making sports. But you also need those sports to supplement your Title IX sports, your lacrosse, your women's sports, so on and so forth. So you can't have it both ways because the schools aren't on the hook for paying these athletes, but the school has all these opinions about whether the athletes should get paid or not. It just doesn't make sense to me. So,
Considering that the a lot of the players are getting paid strictly off of the school that they're going to, so the
right.
notoriety of your school is getting me paid. You aren't getting me paid, so yeah, maybe you don't have the leverage over me that you want, but your school's popularity is still on the rise. So you're still going to get money from all your TV deals because your school is so popular that they're paying. LSU is so popular that a gymnast got paid $3.4 million last year.
Meanwhile, I still don't know if Colorado ever came up with Dion's money.
We'll find out soon.
But then according to on3.com, in the next 5 years, NIL right now is currently estimated between 750 million and 1 billion and is expected to go up between $3 and $5 billion in the next 5 years. So that's how much they expect athletes are going to be getting paid in that window. So, quote time, Hunter Dickinson, you know, great center from Michigan. He's transferring out. Hopefully, he's coming to Kentucky. I've heard such things, but we'll see. But this is his quote. If I'm the number one player in the country for basketball or football, why would I listen to what I said now? He's leaving Michigan. If I was the number one player in the country for basketball or football, why would I come to Michigan where they're saying they have the potential for you to get something? When I'm at Alabama for football or I'm at Kentucky for basketball, they're like, you can commit here and get this deal. You can sign it right after you sign this letter for $1 million. So, I'm in quotes. So I'm sorry. That's just the game now. You thought it was one way, but it's the
It's
other
the other
way.
way.
Like all these years where the name of the game was exploitation. None of these coaches were out here fighting for the right of the player, saying, "Hey, remember this Tyler, I believe Tyler Protho from Alabama, known for the big catch against Southern Miss where he caught the ball on the guy's back, broke his leg, never heard from him ever again." You know, why do we want that to be the norm? Versus De'Aaron King from the University of Miami, formerly of the University of Houston, went to Miami, signed a $9 million NIL deal, ended up having an injury. It was the ACL or an Achilles, one of the two. And he has that to fall back on. So why would I not want that to be the norm versus the former story that I told? So Tom Izzo, I'm a bad guy to talk to about the portal because I think it's ridiculous. Just my opinion. I mean, he just grabbed some players out the portal 2 years ago, And the only reason he didn't grab players out the portal this year was because his team went to him and said, "Hey, we built this. We want to carry it through." But if they didn't come to him and plead their case, he'd
He
have
would
probably
have
went to
taken
the
the
portal and
next
got
best
somebody.
player that wanted to come to East Lansing.
So then let's talk
That's
about a
what you
school.
do.
Yeah, let's talk about a school that probably did need some NIL. How about Purdue? Out here losing to T-Next finest in the first round of the NCAA tournament. You know,
Sure.
Matt Painter, not Curtis Painter, but Matt Painter. Quote, the NCAA is spending just oodles of monies, millions of dollars trying to keep things out of the courtroom. Well, if you would have been talking to some local businesses and they were willing to spend $1 million, maybe you'd have had met the expectations that we had for you in the NCAA tournament.
Man, go to your car dealership and say, hey, will you give my players a car and we will make sure that all the fans come to you to buy cars. No problem.
Yeah, give my quarterback a
I would give
Yukon.
I would give 2 year players Chargers, let them drive around the city, just make sure the insurance is paid and have them come out here every Friday in their jersey and take pictures by this other car that we got souped up in the showroom and we'll call it even.
So
But
you know
that's
what's
literally
funny?
what it is. Like
So
this
you know
student
what's funny
they've been
is
doing it illegally. Just make it legal. Cut them a check. Everybody's gonna get paid. Yes. Okay. So if you got to shell out $100,000 to pay this college athlete, but you're gonna make 1.2 million. What's the between 1.2 and 1.3? Just make the 1.2.
so so,
Instead
so
of
you
now
know
you
what's
got in trouble for it because there's other guys. Remember Rhett Barman, the kid from Oklahoma. He was working at a dealership, never showed
yeah,
up,
Red
driving around
Bobar,
in
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So just like do it legally, cut these guys their check, cut them their respect because they're out there working too. Yeah, you're a coach
yep.
and you're working and you feel like they didn't earn it. Well, if you didn't feel like they earned it, why you in their living room recruiting them so hard? Why you telling their grandmother and their moms and uncles and grandpa, hey, he's gonna wear maize and blue at Michigan or at East Lansing, we're really building something, or come out here, we're gonna teach them family values here in Indiana. We're gonna continue to make them the man that you expected. We're gonna make her the young woman that you expected. She's gonna leave Miami with a degree. She's gonna leave. Nah, she's gonna come there and get paid just like you came there and get paid. And when another job opens up, they're gonna move. They already got a good rule in place. I think they have a good rule in place where it's like you could transfer once and play immediately. But if you transfer again, you got to sit out. All right, I'll give you that. So you don't have people excessively transfer.
Well,
You
I just think it's dumb in the first place because the old rule was
you
the
had to
whole
sit out.
you had to sit out a year, which is dumb to me. Like sit out a semester or something, maybe. I don't
But
know,
you
but
got to keep in mind, if your sport is during that semester, like football is all the first half of the school year. I
yeah,
the sitting out rule was dumb because like I pulled up an article from 2018 on SBNation.com. Alex Kirshner, you pull up 2018. It was like the basic rule is that if a player transfers, they have to sit out a season. Like that was it. Some nuance to that was a coach could deny where you'd go or just give you a list of places you couldn't go. For instance, you're at Alabama, you want to transfer. Nick Saban can say you can't go to any SEC school.
yeah, yeah,
Not only that, you would have to pick a different school. So you go, okay, well, I guess I'll go to Clemson. Well, you get to Clemson, you got to sit out a year. Well, you're a 4 or 5 star running back. You come out class of 2022. You show up to campus, because they were doing it early. But if you just showed up regular time, you showed up summer 2022. You redshirted all year. You didn't play, and they know they're going to bring in 4 or 5 more running backs next year. So you're transferring to Clemson, who's also bringing their own 4 or 5 running backs, and you got to sit another year and watch them all play. And then they're still bringing in another one. Now you have to beat them out. You're 2 years removed from high school, and you
yeah.
haven't
And you
had
gotta
any
hope,
in-game action. And you got to hope that they still want you to get a shot
and,
because they can cut you. Your, your,
and
your,
you
your
gotta
your
hope that
scholarship is one year
Saban
renewable.
And you got to hope that Saban would have let you transfer to Clemens at the time because that was right after Deshaun
That was their
Watson and
rivalry.
Trevor Lawrence. That was like their major playoff
So you're
opponent.
you're transferring from Alabama to
He's like, yo,
Texas
go to
State,
Duke.
go to Duke. You might not even be able to go to another Division I school, especially if you might have to do. You might have to transfer to like school like Texas State or like something small, like maybe even like HBCU, because you want to play. And if you go to like if you went to one of these schools that's Georgia and they're constantly in the top 4 or 5 recruiting, Oklahoma, Texas, whatever position you play, they're bringing in 2 or 3 5 stars, 2 or 3
Which is
4 stars
funny
minimum
because
to your
it's funny
position.
that well, it's funny that you bring that up because these schools don't even have to renew your scholarship the next year.
They're 1 year renewable contracts based on performance. So they can
Right.
not renew your full ride scholarship that Doug Gottlieb likes to talk about a lot. And that's the
Yeah.
problem. It's
Yeah,
like
you could break
we
your
know
leg and
for
then
a
they
fact
just don't honor your scholarship.
they can bring a new coach in, and the new coach can tell you, I'm bringing in 12 of my own guys.
I'm bringing
And
in my Gucci and my Louis.
I'm bringing in my Louis. So go ahead, hop in the portal. Like he said it like, and I get it. He's coming in and he's establishing his own ground, but it's like you got recruited by this other coach with permission from the AD of that school. You came there, you followed the rules, you wore the uniform, you enrolled in the classes, whatever money you had to pay, whatever the case may be. You put all of this work in to come to this school, and you guys perform badly, and they bring in another guy. He's like, "Listen, I'm bringing my luggage and it's Louis, so go ahead and hop in that portal."
Yep.
11 months ago, you were like excited to be there. Now you got to look around like, where am I gonna go? I just left a 1-11 team. Who's looking for me?
Right, right. And hey, real quick, so much for that 3 for 19 stuff because Mr. Westbrook is 4 for 7 with 13 points. And the Clippers got an 11-point lead right now. But yeah, and that's where like these coaches have it made. They got their cake and they eat it too. The university gets to have that. But Michigan is just a mess in general because Hunter Dickinson, like I said, made his statement. Jim Harbaugh came out and was talking about the $7 billion TV deal and how players should be able to make some money off of that, and then Tom Brady, Mr. Michigan himself, out here gave Deion's son $1.6 million as a part of an NIL deal. So I mean, Michigan need to have a meeting and sit down, and like UCLA was talking about how moving to the Big Ten is going to be such a great move for their NIL program. That remains to be seen because the Big Ten seems to be the one conference that isn't on board fully yet.
And another thing I saw, what school was it? Was it LSU or Notre Dame? I vaguely remember Brian Kelly. They essentially have a GM
Yeah, I think that was Notre Dame. Yeah.
that's gonna monitor the transfer
Uh huh.
portal and things of
Yeah.
that nature.
Yeah, because
So
a couple weeks ago
I
I
mean,
brought up how they were talking about a semi-pro league and all this kind of stuff. It's like, no, you
like
are
you
the
have
semi-pro
one.
league.
You are the semi-pro league. You don't have to like. I always tell people, um, sit in a room with people who don't think like you, so you can learn something. I think some of these guys get in that room together and they say stuff out loud and there's no pushback. It's very similar to, I know Rob Parker talks about this, him and Chris Broussard a lot, when one of the NBA players goes on one of their friends' podcasts. A lot of NBA players have more podcasts than NFL players. I think that's the whole facial recognition popularity aspect of it. But they'll go on these shows and they'll say something. He's like, the guy didn't give him any pushback. Where's the follow up question? It's like they're just buddy having a conversation. And I think these coaches sit in a room and it's like you're sitting in a room complaining about a system. And the only way for the transfer portal system to be successful is if one of you other 100 to 200 to 300 coaches in this room or in this meeting or in this email chain tell the guy that he can come to the school. Tell the young lady you can leave Maryland and come to LSU and win a national championship. You can leave Notre Dame and come down to LSU with me and win football games. You can leave Pitt and come to USC the same way I left Oklahoma as a coach and came to USC. These are the conversations that are happening to get these young men and women out of their schools. And then I heard a lot of coaches try to say, these guys are ruining these young men and women ruining opportunity. They don't know about taxes. It's like, then teach them about taxes. Don't tell them they
Yeah.
can't make money because they don't know about taxes. That's like saying, "Oh,
They don't know
you
about
don't have a
taxes when they
cast
at that
you don't
rookie.
have a cast iron pan, so I can't teach you how to cook a steak. I can get you a cast iron pan. I can put you in a position in front of the stove and show you, like, listen, this is how you saute the onions. This is how you season the steak. This is how you leave it out. This is what medium well looks like. This is medium rare. This is well done. We don't do that. You can teach these things, but you have to want somebody else to succeed. And it
They don't
feels
know
like
about
these
taxes when
guys,
they in that rookie symposium either.
they, yeah, they don't learn it. We don't learn it now. I'm 40, almost 42, and I'm still learning stuff about taxes. Um, so it's just like it's just these BS lines. Like I said, my favorite thing to say now recently is that if you ask a couple of follow up questions, you would have people completely discombobulated because what they have is this very tunnel vision based opinion,
Yeah,
and it's not based on any facts. It's all feelings. Like Tom Izzo
yeah.
saying it's not a good thing. It's like, so you mean to tell me? I read an article where one of the coaches was blaming LeBron James for college football players wanting to transfer.
Uh-huh. I heard that. Yep.
If I would ask that person, like, so have you ever been in a job and you had another opportunity to come along because you worked X amount of time in that job, no matter what the time was, and you felt like, you know what, I
Yeah.
think I could do the next job, or a job came open at the place where you worked. You're at the University of Iowa, and you were the conditioning coach, and then you want to work up to be the head trainer, and you want to be in control of the whole conditioning program, and that position came available. Would you say, I don't want to apply for that because I don't want people to think I'm trying to move too fast? No, you would look at it like, hell, this is a $90,000 job versus a $137,000 job, and I can get the control that I want, and I can get the schedule that I want, and I can spend more time with my family because I don't have to be doing this job this long. I can work in this office for this long. I'm gonna go for that. You think the kid lifting weights is gonna be like, oh, you're supposed to be here with me, spotting me, showing me how to do these squats? No, you're gonna go get that job. So
Yo,
the
this is so
player,
beautiful. Watching Westbrook and Durant go up and down the court, both making jumpers back to back.
they could have been doing that in OKC still.
Yeah, Westbrook with 17 points in the first half. But yeah, like Tom Izzo, I can't necessarily bang on because he had the opportunity to coach the Cleveland Cavaliers. He had the opportunity to coach the Detroit Pistons, and he didn't. So I can't necessarily bang on him. But if that painter, whatever he's making at Purdue right now, got a call tomorrow from Duke of Carolina and said, we'll pay you $11 million a year, he's going to say, I just don't envision myself as a Duke guy. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
I'm loyal. Like I can't see myself coaching in the ACC. Like his ass gonna be on the first thing smoking out of West Lafayette. And anybody that's been to West Lafayette won't even take something smoking. You'll get in the car to get out of that
Yeah.
place.
Gonna be on an Amtrak.
You know what I'm saying? So that's all it is. You know what I'm saying? Like I, it's just one of those things where not to do the thing, but it's just funny because there are some lines here where like these sports that are, how can I word this that won't make Raph mad? These sports that are,
I
you
already know what you're
know,
thinking.
yeah, 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 yeah. But I don't want to take it there because that's not what I mean. That's not what I mean. So
All
I don't.
these white coaches in charge of the black players don't like the fact
No,
that
no, I
black
wasn't going
players
to
have
say that. I
leverage.
wasn't going to say
That's what I'm
that.
gonna say. That's all it
I
is.
wasn't
That's
going
all it
to.
is.
No,
That's all it
what I was
is.
going to
Because the
say. No, what I
lacrosse
was going to
coaches not
say.
talking about transfer portals. The soccer coaches aren't talking about transfer portals. The volleyball coaches aren't talking about transfer portals. It's only
Man,
the
that's so
coaches with
crazy
black
too.
players
Because
on their teams. The
you,
baseball
you,
players that talk about transfer. The basketball and football coaches who have 80% of the black athletes at these schools are the only ones
you
complaining
see,
about how much leverage these players have. You can go ahead and
you
clip
see
this and put
that?
it on the reel because that's all it is.
Hey,
The
you see that,
lacrosse players
y'all?
with lacrosse players can transfer, soccer players can transfer, the swimmers can transfer. We don't hear from any of these coaches from any of these top schools, and they get less money. So they really need to keep the
Hey,
people that they get. It's like
hey,
30 lacrosse scholarships for the whole 4 years. You got 30 lacrosse players and some walk-ons. Soccer's the same way. Field hockey's the same way. You don't hear them on TV having symposiums talking about how the transfer portal is all of these white coaches who are in charge of these black players don't like the fact that these black players are taking their leverage into their own hands. Book it.
Hey, you see that, y'all? All that proves is everybody got a little bit of 2-5 in them. That wasn't even what I was going to say. What I was going to say was that I was trying to figure out how to word it was that it's these sports like football and basketball that are majority black athletes that are funding these other sports like lacrosse and polo and all these sports like that where we have these issues. I was going to say that. I wasn't going to go into the man is holding me down and the master and all that. I was just going to say that they're exploiting the people that are funding the sports that their grandchildren are playing. That's what I was going to say. Y'all got us hot and heavy up in here. It sounded like we getting stuff off of our chest, and that wasn't even what we was getting off our chest. So,
Yeah. I keep
so
it thorough. I keep it thorough.
I,
I'm not gonna lie to you.
yeah, so get it off my chest. I'm gonna be real short and sweet. Hey, here you go. Now my headphones talking to me. But yeah, like so we want Raf to get into his because I want to hear about the Dray-Town Stomp. What I'm saying? That's what I'm calling it. The Dray-Town Stomp. But my get it off my chest is actually very positive. It was so positive that when I wrote DeMar Hamlin on my paper, I got like 4 ends on here. Like I don't even I was excited because I watched this man die on the field, I thought. And here we are 3 months later from one of the most traumatic things that I saw in my sports watching history. And he has been cleared not by one, not by two, but by 3 specialists to resume football activities. Now, I don't want to get into the whole, religion thing and all that kind of stuff like that, but man, like it made me feel good. It made me is going to be coming back potentially, but I will caution Buffalo Bills, take your time, ease them in, DeMar, take your time and ease it in. It was a very traumatizing event that you're going to have some mental blocks overcome. Hopefully, you've already been talking to people about that, but you don't need to rush out on the field. I actually, it's one of those moments. So, you think about 9/11. You think about people that were old enough with the Bay of Pigs and all that kind of stuff. Like this DeMar Hamlin story, I know where I was when this happened. I will never forget where I was. I wasn't even watching the game. Me and Lindsay were literally out at the store. I came in the house. I said, Monday Night Football coming on. And I said, I don't know. I should watch Monday Night Raw, but I got to turn it on to the football game because the Bengals and the Bills, and I got to see the score. And when I turned on the TV, I turned on the TV. I turned around to put my groceries back. And then when I turned around, I saw everybody on the field. And I said, what the hell just happened? And then from there, I started getting details and backfilling and all. So I didn't see the collapse in live action. It was probably another 10 minutes before I saw what had actually happened. But at the very least, I thought I just witnessed death in the flesh. So, you know, I just want to, thank the people that did respond to that situation. The medics, the paramedics, everybody that played a role in getting him to the hospital, getting him to higher care, and doing what they did on the field to keep him sustained enough to be able to just be alive. Forget the football part, just be alive. But for the fact that he's here and able to potentially play football again, this is the stuff that sports are made of. So I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Yeah, I'm not gonna front. I shed a tear at the NFL awards when he came out. Like, I'm gonna be all right. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good.
Yeah,
And
remember when
started
everybody thought
talking.
that wasn't the real him?
Yo, come on, man. I'm so sick of the internet. I do read. I like to wake up and read comments on funny videos just to see how ridiculous people's comments are in the morning. That's how I get my morning started. It's pretty funny. But I'm pretty sure it's another guy. He has a podcast, the Draymond Green Show. Uh, bro, like you got to get it together, man. You got to stop acting like You don't know what's going on. Like it just bothers me when I get bothered myself sometimes and I make the same mistakes when I don't plan something like, you know what, you had time to plan this out. It really bothers me. It irks me to the point like, okay, I got to get better at this. He continues to get technical fouls every single year. He's racking them up. He's getting fines. He's getting ejected out of games. And now you're in the fourth quarter of a playoff series where you are essentially overmatched from a speed aspect. Like you're going to be out leveraged because you can't match up with these other players, so you have to be smarter. But instead, he's doing dumb stuff. Draymond Green with the Dray-Town Stomp, you calling it?
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. He grabbed your leg. You could have stepped over him, or you could have just kept trying to work your leg out in front of the ref. The ref would have saw it. He would have got the technical, and then he would have to let you go. You could have walked off by your business. I get it, the heat of the moment, the passion. But at some point, when you've been to 6 NBA championships, you have 4 NBA championship rings, you've been in a handful of games. He's played, I think he said in one of his podcasts, he's played like 2 full extra seasons of just playoff games versus other people who came in the same year that he did. Just in playoff games, he's played, that number of games, like, at least a full season and some change. So you have all these expertise and all this information, all this knowledge from all these runs. Why do you keep getting yourself in a situation where you're getting kicked out of games? Now your team's down 2-0. You are a liability offensively. Your only real asset is the fact that defensively you're out there. And you're just putting yourself in position to not be able to do that. Then you go over to the bench while they're reviewing your potential flagrant 1 or flagrant 2, and you're chirping it up with the people in the audience, with the NBA commissioner in the building. That's like acting up at the assembly with the principal there, and the principal can suspend you. You be like, I don't know what's going on. You're like, yo, I was in the third row. I saw you riling up the people in the audience, knowing what happened with E40 in the first game. It's like you got to take all the stuff in totality. I get everybody's behavior is not your responsibility. But what you do to throw fuel on these situations, don't, like I said, what just happened with E40, it was a big deal. They kicked him out. He was literally right by your bench. I'm pretty sure that pissed you off. What's happening with Russ in his situation, every stadium he goes to, he's a friend of yours. What happens with LeBron, a fellow, basketball player, friend of yours. You guys talk all the time. You have your podcast, so you're not oblivious to what's going on. But the fact that you keep putting yourself in a position of where you are allowing people in the audience or the referee to dictate if you're allowed to be on the basketball court. You lost an NBA championship because you punched LeBron in his backside and got a technical, and the accumulation of technicals got you suspended for a pivotal game where 2 players, for the first time in NBA Finals history, both dropped 41 points. And then when you came back, rusty, they're in a groove. LeBron drops 41 on you again, and then you played great in Game 7. Well, you could have played great in Game 5 if you weren't suspended. You guys could have won that series in 5 games. But instead of thinking like, yo, I got to get my right. It's a contract year because you're going to be sitting on another team next year because you're not going to be on the Golden State Warriors. I don't care what you can book it right now. You're not going to be on the Golden State Warriors with these antics because they can't pay you for being a triple single and a problem. Like talent versus talent. So right now, your talent, and they can't tolerate your behavior. So Draymond Green, like, he needs to get it together, or they just go ahead and just like send him home and just ride out the series without him and break up the team and see what you can do, because you signed enough players, you got enough money, you got enough rings. I'm pretty sure the fans understand if you had to do a little mini rebuild, but he's not going to be a part of it if he keeps having these antics. It's ridiculous.
Shout out to Jonathan Kaminga. I was thinking about it, as you were talking about it, and let's just say Cleveland forces that to Game 7 anyway. Like, even if he never got suspended, and Game 7 plays out numbers the same, but the Warriors win. He actually would have had a chance to win Finals MVP based off his Game 7 performance. Like I mean, he had the 32 points and the
I think it was like
the
32
five
points,
threes.
15 rebounds, and like
Yeah,
nine,
like he might
15
have won
rebounds,
Finals
nine
MVP
assists.
even. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. But when it comes to Draymond, I gotta say this because we always talk about it. I just want the people to know how I feel. Some people out here will have you believe that all lives matter. I just want you to know that all balls matter. Because nobody cared when Draymond was kicking Steven Adams all around. When he punched LeBron, here comes this big deal. So I say that to say I don't think Draymond should be suspended for Game 3 in this series.
I don't think
But
so
what I,
either. I just think the
but
fact
what,
that you put yourself in a position of where now it can be dictated by somebody else. I tell this to my own son. Like my son has an issue at school with he'll he'll argue with his teachers, not disrespectfully, but
just
like
asking questions and
just like
yeah,
he just pokes and he's asked the question, and he had a couple of detentions because of it. And when he came home,
yesterday you said,
he's trying to explain it. I'm like, son, I don't care what you said or how the teacher felt about it. My issue is the fact that you keep putting yourself in a position of where you're allowing these teachers and whatever attitude they're having, whatever attitude you're having back to dictate how you operate after school. So now you have detention. So from detention, I had to like run him to a basketball game once. So then he was like late for lacrosse practice one time. And then you got to come here. And now I'm off work at 3 o'clock. So now when you get here, I got to take your phone, or you can't go anywhere, or now we gotta check your homework, triple check your homework. Now it's pull up the laptop. So now because you're getting in trouble in school, other measures have to be put in place because you can't keep yourself out of the crosshairs. You know what's coming. You know how your teachers react to you. You're a big demonstrative character, like you're a big voice, you're a big personality, you're a smart kid, you stand out. You know all these things. Heavy is a head that wears the crown. So if I'm telling you this is what the perception will be, you got to get to the point like, you know what? Is it worth me adding this to the conversation? Is it worth
right,
me pulling my phone out to check what time it is? Whatever it is, do I need to do any of that? Because if you stop doing that, you won't have these. I'm like, that's the only problem you've had at school all year is petty arguments with your teachers and they get in their feelings, because that's what I feel about it. I'm like, they get in their feelings because you don't let them talk to you like a normal 13-year-old was. Now he's 14. Like, but the problem is they are going to go to another administrator who's going to feel the same way because you're going to have that same argument with the other administrator. They're like, because you're not
right,
listening. And I
right.
get it, son. Like you want to be happy, you want to be right. Shout out to 13 going on 30.
Well, no, I'm just saying. All I'm saying is, because I know how people operate. The NBA is a superstars league. Don't call the fifth foul on Draymond because he's got to go to the bench. Don't foul out Dame Lillard because I came to watch him play instead of telling Dame to keep his hands to himself. So I get it. But my point is that if you were going to suspend Draymond because same scenario, and he did it to Kevin Durant. He did it to Kawhi. He did it to LeBron. He did it to Dame Lillard. He did it to James Harden. He did it to Jokic. And he was going to get suspended for that. Then you got to suspend him for this because all sternums matter, And I just got to say, Demontis Sabonis in Sacramento. I don't know if I love the gamemanship, or if I don't like the bullshit. But y'all know that man ain't need no X-ray, and only Draymond could be Draymond to ask for an X-ray on his ankle, once he knew that Sabonis was going to get the X-ray. So I love all that part of it, but no, if you would suspend him based on the fact that he had done this to a superstar, then Demontis Sabonis isn't necessarily a superstar, but he was on the MVP ladder. Like
Yeah, but like I
if
said,
you
I don't think it's
no, I
suspendable
don't think it does either. I don't think it does either. But
because they did give Sabonis a technical foul for holding
yeah,
him.
which he deserved.
So
Yep.
he was in his right that he was antagonized. The problem is
Right.
he could have just shaken his foot out. Sabonis would have got that technical. They got a free throw. Steph Curry shoots 90% from the free throw line. Now they get the ball back down 3 in the fourth quarter with a young team that just got a technical off a dumb foul from their second best
Maybe
player.
they fall apart.
Now they fall apart. Clay hit
Yeah.
2 big threes after Draymond went to the locker room. So
Yeah, I wish he would have hit 2 big threes
we
earlier.
all be drunk, but it's the fact that you have that information because you played 2 additional seasons of playoff games, and Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox are in their second. I think Sabonis might have been in another team, but
hey,
De'Aaron
and don't
Fox
forget,
definitely in game number 2.
not only is De'Aaron Fox young, he real young. He was in that Lonzo Jason Tatum draft.
He can't even rent a car yet.
You know,
like think about like the situation you're in. You're literally, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, it just bothers me that he just continues to put himself in this situation when it's like you can tell he's a smart guy. You know definitively he's a smart person, and it's just the fact that he just keeps putting himself in that position. It just blows my mind.
yeah.
Like, when are you gonna stop?
Never. Just Manny being Manny. You know what I'm saying? And that's just sports reports as ordered, being sports reports as ordered. Yes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. Make sure if you're not following us on the social media platforms, do so. Share with as many people as possible. We want to spread the word. Like I said, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Apple, Spotify, your mama anywhere you want to get your podcast.
Like us, subscribe, review, leave comments. It's free. Hit the bell on YouTube. You'll get your notifications. Free. You know what else you'll do for free? You go to the store and your boy working behind the chicken nuggets. You want some free nuggets? We just try and give you game for free.
Free nuggets.
Free
digital nuggets.
Love you, America. Peace.